Hey guys, this is Andrea from VW Family Farm, and I'm coming to you today. It's a cold, rainy day here, and I'm inside doing a few things, and I thought I would show you how I make cheddar cheese. So I make this from our raw cow's milk, and it's considered a raw cheese. That means I don't heat it above a certain temperature to where I kill everything out of the raw milk. So it's considered a raw cheese. The first thing, I like to make a pretty big batch at a time. So the first thing is I get 2 gallons of milk. So I just put that in a big pot. And then to make cheese, you have to have a culture. So I'm going to show you, this culture I'm using today is called Danisco. I don't even know how to say it, and no, they're not sponsoring me to say this. This is really just what I've always used. This one is called MA 4001, but I've also used MA 19. I like them both, so can't tell a whole lot of difference. So the first step is to take 1/4 of a teaspoon. Some recipes call for 1/8 of a teaspoon when you're doing 2 gallons of milk. Some call for 1/4, so I just use 1/4. I've kind of just combined the best of both. So I just get 1/4 of a teaspoon, and then you're just going to sprinkle that around in here, and you're going to stir it up really good. You want to show how to stir it? You kind of need to stir from the bottom. You want to incorporate all of that culture in there.
You got a slotted spoon, or
it doesn't matter. This is a slotted spoon, but it doesn't really matter. So you're going to stir that up really good. You're going to put the lid on that, and okay, I missed a very important step here. The first step before you put the culture in, I can't believe I forgot to say this, is to warm the milk to 86 degrees. My milk, I got 5 gallons of milk from our cow this morning, so I actually already had the milk, and once I put it in this pot, it was like 87 degrees, so it was almost perfect. So, but if your milk is cold, the very first step is to warm it to 86 degrees. And that is really not that warm, so you're going to need to kind of warm slowly, because if you think about room temperature in here is probably 70 degrees, you're not really getting it that warm. So go slow on the warming. When you get to 86 degrees, that's when you put the culture in. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that. Then you're just going to, if you had to turn on your stove to get it to 86 degrees, at this point you're going to turn it off and just leave it sitting on the burner, put a lid on. It'll probably stay right about that temperature because you want it to stay 86-ish throughout this process. So now there's nothing else to do for the next hour. You're just going to go do something else. So I'll be back with you. Okay guys, so I'm back. It's been an hour, and I just, like a lot of other things I do, I just work this into my day and my schedule. I don't stand here and just hover over this. I'll go do laundry or do whatever else I need to do for the day. So then I'll come back around an hour later. Sometimes I've done it a little sooner. Sometimes I've done it quite a bit later. So it's worked for me. I'm not saying that you should do that because I don't want to mess up your cheese. The recipe says an hour. But then you're going to take, your next ingredient is rennet. Now this is vegetable rennet, but I've also used just plain rennet, which comes from the lining of a calf's stomach. I know that's strange. And there's other sources of rennet too, from vegetables, and that's what this is from. But I've used the plain too, and I like them both. They both do a good job. You're going to take 3/4 of a teaspoon of this. Okay, and I put that in like a 1/4 of a cup measuring cup, and then you're going to get a little water to almost fill up your 1/4 of a cup. So it's 3/4 of a teaspoon of the rennet, about a 1/4 of a cup of water, and that just is going to help your rennet get mixed in better. So I'm just going to pour this over the top of my cheese, or actually it's just still milk at this point. This is what's going to help the curds and whey separate. So I'm going to stir this in really good. Stir from the bottom. It's not going to work immediately. Now there's types of cheese you can make to where when you pour in, I've done it like lemon juice or different things, you're going to see it separate like instantaneously. That is not, this is a slower type of cheese. This type of cheese though is going to melt. This is our all around favorite cheese. I've made the other kinds and they're good, but they don't melt. So you're just basically can eat them as cheese curds. So this is going to take 45 minutes to an hour for the curds and whey to completely separate. You don't really want to disturb that during this time, so you're going to put the lid back on. So another just a couple minute job, put the lid back on and walk away again for another 45 minutes to an hour. So I'll be back with you in a little while and show you the next step. Hey guys, so we're back with the next step in the cheese making process. I actually walked away for a little more than an hour. All that basically means is that it really is good and separated the cheese, the curds from the whey. So I'm gonna let you see what it looks like before I go any further, what you're kind of looking for in your pot. Now this is very dramatically separated because I've left it for a while. I got busy. So you can see there's a lot of whey accumulated in the pot, and then the white is the cheese. So the next step is to cut the curd, and so I'm going to show you there's lots of ways to do this. This is just kind of the way I do it. I just put my knife in. I've got a long knife. I just go across the pot of like half an inch apart. I don't do this real technical. There's probably people who do this a lot more technical than this, but you're just basically cutting it into small little cubes or pieces. Mine are never cubes, so just small little pieces. Okay, once I've went, and you can see it's spinning on me. Once I've went that way, now I'll go perpendicular to that and cut it all across there, just all across this pot. Then after I do it that way, I kind of angle my knife and I kind of go down in there. So I'm just kind of slicing at an angle now, just to get it good, because if I don't, those are just going to be super long cubes going all the way down to the bottom of the pot. Now after you do this, the next step is, again, just walk away, let it rest. After you cut the curd, you have to let them rest a little bit. So I'm going to cover this pot back up, and I'll be back with you in about 5 minutes. Okay, so we've let it rest for 5 minutes. Now the next step is to raise the heat slowly to 102. So we're going to raise it to 102, and then when we get it to 102, we're going to let it sit at 102 degrees for 30 minutes. So after I do that, I'll be back with you for the next step. Okay guys, I'm back with the next step in the cheese making process. So just to recap, the last step we did was raise the temperature to 102, and then you hold it there, you put your lid back on and you hold it there for 30 minutes. So after that, the next step, I've got another pot here and I've got a colander. So this is going to begin the cheddaring process because I'm making cheddar. So I'm going to drain off. Well, I'm going to drain all the way to begin with. So, just going to carefully pour this through here. Hopefully not make a big mess. So, a lot of whey has accumulated. I think you wind up with 10% cheese compared to what milk you started with. So, it takes a lot of milk to make cheese. Okay, some uses for whey. This is cultured. We put our culture in at the beginning, so this is excellent to pour on plants. That's usually what I do with it. So I have poured off all the whey. This is what's left of the cheese curds. Now I don't want all this whey in this pot. So I'm going to set this aside for a second. And I'm going to pour just some whey back in here. That's probably enough. And it's warm because I've been holding it at 102. And how I do that, I just get it to 102, turn my burner completely off, and mine stays at that same temperature. So I only poured about that much whey in here. You can see, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's not a lot. But that warm whey down in there. And then I'm going to just nestle this on top of here. And I'm going to take a clean dish towel and put that on top of my colander. And I'm going to put my lid back on. And that's going to begin the cheddaring process. And over the next, you're going to let that drain for a while, just however long you have. Like I said, just work this into your schedule. I'm going to flip this a few times. It's going to become like a slab in there. They're going to kind of start to join together quite a bit. So I'll come back a couple times and just flip this over to make sure the whey is draining out of all the little crevices and stuff in the cheese. So that's all for now. This is one of the final steps before we finish it all up. So I'm just going to stop there. I'll come back with you in just a little while and show you how we're going to finish it up. Hey guys, so I'm back with finishing up the cheese. So it's been sitting for a while. Now you can see it's pretty much a slab of cheese curds. A lot of the whey's dripped out. So the next step is you can take this and put it on a cutting board. I usually just do it right here in the colander just because I don't want to dirty another something to wash. So I just slice it long ways. So I'm just slicing the curd into these big strips. Then I go across it the other way. I'll show it to you here in just a second. I'm just basically slicing it into little cubes. So I do that, and then I take some salt. Salt's gonna help your cheese not to mold. A good tablespoon or two anyway, because if you're gonna press it, a lot of this is gonna get pressed out anyway. So it's not gonna be overly salty, but it will definitely help your cheese not to mold. I just kind of toss that salt around, cover it really good, get the salt distributed. Okay, and now at this point, you can just eat it like this as wet cheese curds. If you're going to do that, you probably wouldn't want to salt it as much. You can put herbs or something in it if you want your cheese to have a flavor. But at this point, I put mine in a cheese press. Let me rinse the salt off my hands. I put mine in a cheese press and press all the rest of the whey out of it. And then I have a block of hard cheese like you would buy to shred or to melt or whatever. Or we slice it for sandwiches or however. So I'm going to show you how I press mine. But like I said, if you don't have a cheese press, you can be done at this point. Or you can build a decent, pretty cheap cheese press. That's what I started with. This is one I bought. It's called the Ultimate Cheese Press. I really like it. It's from a place called Homesteader Supply. I really like this one, but the homemade one works too. So this, I just lined this. This is a piece of butter muslin. It's just a little bit thicker than cheesecloth. I just laid that down here. It's going to catch a lot of the whey that's going to be pressed out of this. So then I put the mold on here. Fill it with cheese. So I've got the curds in this press that I'm going to take another piece of cheesecloth and put on top just to catch more whey. This is just called the follower. Put that down on there. Okay, and then when I get this on here, I'll get this snug and pressed down, and I'll leave it all night. And then in the morning, I take it out and let it air dry. I just put it on a little rack, let it air dry for a few hours, and then that's it. So there's really not, this doesn't take very long. Just work it into other time you're going to be in your kitchen anyway. And that's all there is to it. I'm going to finish putting this on here, and this process will be complete. Okay, so that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it'll help you make some cheese. And remember to subscribe to our channel. And I hope you have a good day, and God bless.